The market was hidden under the red moon of Varka 9. It was not a normal market. There were no happy voices, no bright shops, no families walking together. Only cages, iron cages, glass cages, hanging cages. Inside them were living beings from many worlds. Some were silent, some were crying, some were too weak to even move. The air smelled of blood, smoke, and fear. Rich alien buyers walked slowly between the cages. They looked at the prisoners like they were animals, like they were tools, like they were food. A tall alien seller stood near the biggest cage. His skin was black like burned stone, and his eyes were yellow. He smiled at the crowd. "Fresh stock," he said. "Strong bones, clean blood, good meat." The crowd laughed. Inside a small glass cage, a young alien woman sat on the cold floor. Her body was thin. Her silver hair covered half of her face. Blue marks glowed weakly on her arms, but they were fading. She had chains around her wrists and neck. Her name was Lyra, but no one there used her name. To them, she was only item number 17. A buyer tapped the glass with his claw. "This one looks weak," he said. The seller laughed. "Weak, yes, but rare. Her kind is almost gone. Her blood is worth more than gold." Lyra lowered her head. She did not cry. She had no tears left. Then the whole market became quiet. Heavy footsteps came from the entrance. One by one, the aliens turned. A human had entered the market. He was tall, wearing a dark battle coat. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. A small scar crossed his jaw. A broken military badge was on his chest. His name was Captain Elias Kane. No one moved. In the galaxy, humans were not common. But everyone knew the stories. Humans fought when they were outnumbered. Humans stood up when they should fall. Humans did not fear pain. And when humans got angry, even empires burned. The seller forced a smile. "Human," he said. "Looking for labor, soldiers, servants." Elias did not answer. His eyes moved from cage to cage. He saw fear everywhere. Then he stopped in front of Lyra's cage. Lyra slowly lifted her face. For a moment, she only stared at him. Then she crawled toward the glass. Her chained hands touched it. Her voice was weak, almost broken. "Sold for meat, human," she whispered. "Hold me. Use me. Just get me out of here." Elias did not move. The market stayed silent. Then his hand slowly closed into a fist. "How much?" he asked. The seller's smile disappeared. "You do not want that one, human," he said coldly. "She belongs to the Empire." Elias looked at Lyra again, and for the first time that night, fear entered the seller's eyes. The seller's warning did not stop Elias. He only looked at the glass cage and said, "Open it." The seller gave a dark laugh. "You heard me, human. She belongs to the Empire. If you touch her, you will not leave this moon alive." Elias turned his eyes toward him. "I asked for the price," Elias said, "not your fear." The market went silent again. The seller's guards stepped closer. They carried long shock spears. Blue fire moved around the sharp tips. Many buyers moved back, not wanting to stand near a human when trouble started. Lyra stayed on the floor of the cage. Her heart was beating fast. She had seen many buyers before. Cruel ones, hungry ones, rich ones. But this human was different. He did not look at her body. He did not look at her like meat. He looked at the lock. The seller showed his teeth. 10,000 credits. Elias dropped a small black card on the table. The seller checked it. His yellow eyes widened. The money was real. For a moment, greed fought with fear inside him. Then he gave a sharp order. "Open the cage." A guard touched the lock. The glass door hissed open. Lyra did not move. She waited for the human to grab her, pull her, or chain her again. That was what owners did. But Elias stepped inside slowly and lowered himself to one knee. He took off his dark coat and placed it around her shoulders. Lyra flinched. Elias stopped at once. "I will not hurt you," he said. She looked at him with tired eyes. Everyone says that before they do. Elias reached for the chain around her neck. With one strong pull, he broke it. The sound echoed through the market. Many aliens gasped. The seller's face turned pale. That collar was Imperial property. Elias stood, holding the broken chain in his hand. Not anymore. Lyra stared at him. She had not felt her neck free in many years. For a second, she forgot how to breathe. Then something strange happened. A drop of blue blood ran from a cut on her arm and fell to the floor. The metal ground began to glow. The seller stepped back in terror. "No," he whispered. "The mark is waking." Elias looked down. Under Lyra's feet, ancient symbols burned with blue light. Lyra grabbed his hand, her voice shaking. "Please don't let them see." But it was too late. A hidden alarm screamed across the market. Far above the moon, an Imperial warship turned toward them. The alarm did not sound like a bell. It sounded like a scream. Red lights flashed across the market. Metal doors began to close. Buyers ran in every direction, pushing each other, leaving their guards and servants behind. Elias held Lyra's hand and pulled her close. "Can you run?" he asked. Lyra looked at her weak legs. "Not fast." "Then hold on." Before she could ask what he meant, Elias lifted her into his arms. Lyra froze. No one had carried her gently before. She was always dragged, thrown, or chained. But Elias held her like she was something breakable, something alive. The seller shouted behind them. "Stop him! The human has the blood key!" 6 guards rushed forward with shock spears. Elias did not slow down. He pulled a small round device from his belt and threw it on the floor. It bounced once, then burst into white smoke. The smoke filled the market in seconds. Lyra heard screams, footsteps, metal falling. Then Elias ran. He moved through the smoke like he already knew the way, past cages, past burning lights, past aliens who were too scared to breathe. A small creature inside one cage reached through the bars. "Please," it cried. Elias stopped for 1 second. Lyra felt his body tense. Then he hit the cage lock with his pistol. The lock broke open. The creature stared at him in shock. "Run," Elias said. Then he kept moving. Soon, more cages opened behind them. Prisoners escaped into the smoke. The market became chaos. Lyra looked at Elias. "You came for me. Why free them too?" His answer was simple. "A cage is a cage." They reached the landing bay. Elias's ship waited there. It was small, black, and full of scratches. It did not look strong enough to fight even one Imperial warship. Lyra's hope almost died. Then the sky above the bay opened. A huge shadow covered everything. The Imperial warship had arrived. A voice boomed from above. "Human vessel, return the female. She is not a person. She is Imperial resource." Elias carried Lyra inside the ship and placed her in the co-pilot seat. She grabbed his sleeve. "Give me back to them. They will kill you." Elias sat in the pilot chair. "No," he said. The ship engines roared. Outside, weapons locked onto them. Lyra whispered, "Why would you die for a stranger?" Elias pushed the ship forward. "Because someone once did it for me." The small ship shot into the dark sky. Behind them, the warship fired. The first laser missed the ship by a few meters. White fire passed beside the window and the whole ship shook like a broken toy. Lyra held the seat with both hands. Elias did not panic. His eyes stayed on the dark sky ahead. His hands moved fast over the controls. The small ship turned left, dropped low, then flew between 2 black mountains. Behind them, the Imperial warship followed. It was too big to enter the mountains, but its guns were not. Another laser hit the rocks. Stones exploded into the air. Lyra cried out as the ship dropped lower. "We cannot escape them," she said. Elias gave a small smile. "They are big. Big things turn slow." He pushed the engine harder. The ship flew through a narrow crack in the mountains. The walls were so close that sparks ran across both sides of the ship. Lyra stopped breathing. For one moment, everything went dark. Then the ship burst out into open space. Stars filled the window. They had escaped the moon, but only for a second. Warning lights flashed on the control screen. 3 Imperial fighters detected. Small enemy ships came from above, fast and sharp like knives. Elias cursed under his breath and turned the ship again. Lyra looked at him with fear in her eyes. "Human," she whispered. "You do not understand what you saved." Elias kept flying. "Then tell me." Lyra looked down at her hands. The blue marks on her skin were glowing stronger now. "My people were called the Orin," she said. "We were not soldiers. We were gatekeepers." "Gatekeepers?" Elias asked. "We could open paths between stars, ancient doors, safe roads through space." Her voice shook. "But the Empire found another use for us." The ship shook as a fighter fired at them. Elias pulled the ship down and the shot missed. Lyra continued, faster now. "They learned our blood can wake dead gates. Not only for travel, for weapons. If they take all my blood, they can open a gate inside a planet." Elias went quiet. Lyra's eyes filled with pain. "The planet will break from the inside." For the first time, Elias looked truly shocked. "How many of your kind are left?" he asked. Lyra gave a sad smile. "1." The ship became silent except for the alarms. Then Lyra took his pistol from the side table and placed it in his hand. "If they catch us, you must kill me." Elias stared at her. "No." "You must," she begged. "I am not a girl to them. I am a key." Elias looked back at the stars. "No key chooses its lock," he said, "but a person can choose her future." Before Lyra could answer, her blue marks suddenly burned bright. The ship screens went black. Then an ancient voice filled the cabin. "The Gate Child has awakened." The ancient voice filled the ship like thunder. "The Gate Child has awakened." Then every screen went dark. The engines coughed once, then they died. The small ship floated in space, silent and helpless. Lyra stared at her glowing hands. The blue marks on her skin were no longer weak. They burned like living fire. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." Elias tried to restart the engines, but nothing worked. The controls were frozen. Even the lights inside the cabin turned blue. Outside the window, the 3 Imperial fighters slowed down. They did not fire. They were waiting. Then the huge Imperial warship came from behind the moon. Its black body covered the stars. It looked like a moving city made for war. A cold voice came through the broken radio. "Human captain, your part is over. Give us the Orin female and we may let you die quickly." Lyra closed her eyes. "They will not stop," she said. "I woke the signal. Now every Imperial ship will know where I am." Elias looked at her. "Can you turn it off?" She shook her head. "I don't even know how I turned it on." A red beam came from the warship and locked onto Elias's ship. A pulling force grabbed them. The ship began moving toward the warship's open hangar. Lyra's breathing became fast. "I can feel them," she whispered. "So many minds, so much hunger." Elias stood and opened a metal box under the control panel. Inside was an old human distress beacon. Lyra watched him press the button. The beacon blinked once, then twice. "That little thing?" she asked weakly. "Can it call help?" Elias looked out at the warship. "It can call humans." Lyra did not understand why those words made the Imperial radio go silent. Then the Imperial commander spoke again, but this time his voice had changed. "Destroy the beacon." The fighters moved at once. But they were too late. Far away, in the empty dark, space began to ripple. One light appeared, then 10, then 50. Ships came out of jump one after another. Human ships, small attack ships, heavy cruisers, medical ships, war carriers with old scars on their hulls. Lyra stared through the window, unable to speak. The lead ship opened a channel. A woman's calm voice filled the cabin. "This is Admiral Mara Voss of the Terran Defense Fleet. Captain Kane, we received your signal." Elias smiled for the first time. Good timing, Admiral. The Imperial commander shouted, "This is Imperial property." Admiral Voss answered with cold anger, "No living soul is property." The human fleet moved forward. The Imperial warship turned its weapons toward them. Lyra looked at Elias, tears shining in her eyes. "You called a fleet for me?" Elias shook his head. "No," he said softly. "I called them because of what they did to you." Then the human ships opened their weapons ports, and across the battlefield, every Imperial officer learned the same thing. Humans did not come to rescue property. They came to punish monsters. The first human shot did not hit the Imperial warship. It hit the space in front of it. Lyra stared in shock as the empty dark broke open with white fire. A hidden minefield appeared, placed by the human fleet in only seconds. The Imperial commander shouted through the radio, "Cowards, you hide behind traps." Admiral Mara Voss answered calmly, "No, we hide civilians behind soldiers." Then the human fleet moved. Small human fighters rushed forward like angry bees. They were not stronger than the Imperial ships, but they were faster. They flew close, turned hard, and attacked the same weak spots again and again. The Imperial warship fired its giant cannons. A human cruiser took the hit. Its side burned, but it did not move away. Instead, it placed itself between the warship and Elias's small ship. Lyra's voice shook. "They are taking hits for us." Elias started the engines again. "That is what shields are for." "No," Lyra whispered. "That is what hearts are for." Suddenly her blue marks burned brighter. She cried out and held her chest. Elias turned to her. "Lyra, I can feel the gate," she said. "There is one near this moon, old, sleeping. The Empire wants me because I can open it." On the screen, the Imperial warship began charging a huge red weapon. Admiral Voss spoke fast. "Captain Kane, that weapon can break our line. We need another option." Lyra looked at the red light growing on the enemy ship. Then she looked at Elias. "I can open the gate under them." Elias shook his head. "No. You said the gates can destroy planets." "Only if forced," Lyra said. "But if I guide it, maybe I can move their weapon fire away." "Maybe?" Elias asked. She gave a small, sad smile. "I was never trained. I was only hunted." The Imperial weapon was almost ready. Human ships were burning around them. Lyra reached for Elias's hand. "I asked you to use me," she whispered. Elias held her hand gently. "No," he said. "I am asking you to choose." For the first time, Lyra did not feel like a prisoner. She did not feel like meat. She did not feel like a key. She felt like a person. She closed her eyes. Blue light spread from her body into the ship, then into space. The stars twisted. A huge circle of blue fire opened behind the Imperial warship. The Imperial commander screamed, "Stop her!" But it was too late. The red weapon fired. Lyra moved her hand. The blast bent away from the human fleet and entered the gate. For one silent second, everyone watched. Then the gate opened wider. Something came out, not fire, not death. Ships. Ancient silver ships covered in the same blue marks as Lyra's skin. A deep voice spoke across all channels. "Who has awakened the last child of Auron?" The ancient silver ships came out of the blue gate like ghosts from an old dream. Every human ship stopped firing. Every Imperial ship went silent. Lyra could not breathe. The marks on the silver ships were the same as the marks on her arms. The same blue light. The same old power. The same lost song she had heard in her dreams. A deep voice spoke again. "Who has awakened the last child of Auron?" Lyra slowly stood from her seat. Her legs were shaking, but she did not hide behind Elias this time. She touched the radio. "I did," she said in a weak voice. "My name is Lyra." For a long moment, there was no answer. Then the ancient voice became softer. "Daughter of the Gate Blood, we thought your line was dead." Tears filled Lyra's eyes. "I thought I was alone." The Imperial commander suddenly shouted, "She belongs to us. She is Imperial property. The silver ships turned toward the Imperial warship. The deep voice became cold. You chained a child of Orin? The Imperial commander did not answer. Admiral Maravos spoke next. They sold her as meat, she said. Captain Kane pulled her from the cage. Another silence fell. Then hundreds of blue lights appeared on the silver ships. The Imperial warship tried to run. It was too late. The gate opened behind it again, but this time it did not destroy. It swallowed the Imperial engines and froze them in space. Human fighters moved in and broke the weapon systems one by one. The mighty Empire ship became helpless. Lyra watched, not with joy, but with relief. Elias looked at her. Are you okay? She gave a small laugh through her tears. I do not know what okay feels like. He nodded. Then we start there. Hours later, the slave market on Varka 9 burned, not from revenge, from justice. Human soldiers opened every cage. Orin healers treated the wounded. The buyers and sellers were chained and taken away. Lyra stood outside the market wrapped in Elias's coat. An Orin elder came to her and bowed. You are free now, he said. Lyra looked at the word like it was something strange. Free. Then she turned to Elias. I told you to hold me. Use me. Just get me out. Elias smiled gently. I only did the last part. Lyra shook her head. No. You did more. She touched the broken collar in his hand. You reminded me I was not a thing. Elias looked at the burning market. No one is. From that day, the galaxy learned a new rule. If a world sold living souls, humans would come. And every slave market feared one word more than war. Human.